Hi, I'm Rosa Kennedy. I am a cancer survivor. I went through chemotherapy in the year 2022, and that was one of the hardest things I had to do, not just because of the treatment, but also because of the way that I changed in looks. I lost all my hair. I lost it from the beginning of the day one of chemo and went through hair loss. The hair loss journey that a lot of people go through when they do chemo treatments. One of the things that I started to notice was the way people look at you when you're undergoing something that is visible for them. You're already going through the emotions, you're already going through what you're losing, in this case, hair. One of the hard things about hair loss for me was the part that my kids had to embrace their mom changing physically. They already were going through a lot, but just seeing me with the physical changes and accepting that their mom was going to be bald temporarily, for them, it just felt like my mom is just gonna change and she's gonna come to my school functions and be in public with me. So I think a hard part that I let bother me was what other people were thinking, and in this case was my kids, how they would be uncomfortable or uncomfortable with me and not having any hair. One of the things with wearing wigs and hair pieces is it gives you the opportunity to be different parts of yourself. It gives you the choices. It's no different than going to the salon to just go get a good hair day, but when you have wigs and hair pieces, you have a good hair day anytime that you want. So this is Sophie. One of the things that I do with my wigs, I name them, and I do feel like they come with personality and sass. I wanted a red hair wig, and Tracy was amazing to create literally the vision that I had, and that's something that you can do when you are investing in hair that in the form of a wig. So when you're doing that, for me, it's been just super fun to have different hairstyles, to have different hair colors. I am open for people to know that these are obviously not my hair. My hair is really short right now, but when they see you, it just kind of surprises me that they are surprised because they haven't seen the red-headed Rosa or they haven't seen the brunette and with the long hair. So it's just kind of fun because they're conversation pieces for me to just be able to be me through the different wigs and the personalities that come with her. Piece of advice that I give people that are undergoing hair loss or have to live with hair loss is find the different ways that you can find your personality to shine through the look that you embrace. Sometimes it can be with a wig, sometimes it can be without it, and bandana, a beanie, I still wear a lot of them. I've always been a hat person, and now I consider myself a wig person because I do feel like a piece of advice I have is do it for yourself. So if you're very comfortable going bald, and I was at one point, and I did henna crowns, but there were times when the hair is growing and it's not that pretty face of hair growth that I needed an option. So I think go with what makes you feel comfortable. And for me, comfort is also confidence. So if you're feeling comfortable with the hair, with the choice that you have for head covering, you're gonna feel more empowered to just show yourself as the real you. One of the things with hair loss that I experienced myself was I knew mine was gonna be temporary, and a lot of people didn't know that about my journey, but they assumed that I was going through cancer. And when my hair grew back, I was happy that my hair was growing back the way that it did, but I was also very pleased to have good options of hair, wigs, and different accessories for my hair, because later on I went under a lot of stress, which caused my hair to thin out and fall out again. And with my investment wigs, I was able to just go back to the personality, the comfort of using a wig, because I have used them before. And I know that in certain cases, it just makes me feel better. It makes me look and feel better. So I will say invest in the wigs because it is a lifestyle. One of the experiences that I went through when I healed cancer was the transitions that you go through when you're changing your looks and how people in our society look at you. So for example, I remember the very first time I went to the store and I was wearing a beanie and there was no show of hair. People would be very kind, very empathetic, almost like they knew what I was going through. So when you look at a person that has hair loss, you just don't know what their story is. So you have to be very sensitive to what they're going through. After the beanie, I went to the store when I had the patchy hair loss and people were avoiding me. They were avoiding looks, they were not making eye contact, same stores, same people. And then, that made me feel very hurt, and it kind of reinstated that I needed to go back with beanies or wigs. But if I'm wearing a beanie like this, sometimes I have hair and I have hair under and people wouldn't think much about it. But what if you wear the beanie and then you can see your hair? Or what if I show up to the same store as a nice red-headed Sophie that is very easy to apply and style because she was styled yesterday. So I'm sure the people will be looking at me very different from the transition of wearing the beanie with no hair to be shown, or the transition to be completely bald or with patches of hair. So I do invite people to be more sensitive of us that wear wigs, because sometimes our journey is very different of the journeys that they have had with hair loss or hair pieces, and for us it's just an empowering tool. When I started wearing wigs, especially the good quality wigs, I didn't feel judged by people because you're actually looking just the way that you look when you come out of the salon. So for people that are in the middle between feeling comfortable wearing a wig, or are people going to know that I'm wearing a wig, or even if you change colors of wigs, I just invite people to try it and see how you are feeling, because the big essence of changes, hairstyles, hair makeup days is really like how you're feeling behind the looks. So if you're feeling comfortable, you're going to actually show confidence. If you are feeling brave, you're going to come across as a very strong person. So yes, there will be times that people probably assume that you're wearing a wig because you went from being a brunette to a blonde to a red-headed, but it's all about you and how it makes you feel. I think for my own experience with hair loss and hair gain, I'm gonna call it hair gain because I gained a few beautiful pieces, was the acceptance of I am going to look different, but I choose how I want people to see me. So in my case, it gave me the power to go back when I didn't have the hair because I just wasn't feeling like wearing a wig that day. But I didn't feel judged. I felt like it was my choice to go to the store the way I did with the beanie or without, and without the wig. So I feel like that was a turning point for me of accepting that however I want to get out of my house and be shown in public is the way that I put the effort to do.